Колеги, продовжимо наш робочий день. Зараз я до слова запрошую полковника.
Dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to invite to this microphone Colonel Andriy Lysenko, ITO spokesman on the latest information in the hostility area. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We have good news today. During the last 24 hours, no Ukrainian servicemen were wounded or killed. Against unconditional compliance of Ukraine with the Minsk agreements, our enemies try to undermine the peaceful process through numerous military provocations. Only in the east of Lugansk Oblast, the situation remains rather calm. Besides military provocations from small arms, grenade launchers, mortars. Yesterday, our positions near Opetne were shelled from tank. Also yesterday, there was the mortar shelling of Avdiivka. There are no facts about shelling from heavy artillery. Today at midnight, the enemies twice violated ceasefire regime. Our servicemen adequately respond to the provocations of the militants and stuck with the defined delineation line. Our intelligence proved that on March 24th, 25th, two columns of heavy military machinery arrived to Donbass from the territory of Russian Federation. These were tanks, fuel fillers, and cars, heavy cars. During the last 24 hours, 7 drones were observed near Mariupol. Yesterday near Gorlevka, at the automobile road, the bus was blown up, which was going from Artemyevsk to Gorlevka. 4 people died and 20 were wounded. The driver did not suffer. The operational information suggests that the bus tried to deviate from Ukrainian checkpoint Mayorsk, but where it was not allowed to pass because it is prohibited to cross the delineation in this time. Then they tried to pass by and have found a mine. That's why we advise all the automobile carriers in Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast complying with the requirements established by authorities. The emergency situation service every day check and test the considerable territories to find explosives and shells. In Konstantinovsky rayon, they have examined 30 hectares and found 8 mines. Our special service continued to neutralize pro-Russian subversives and insurgents. The murder of Captain Vida Mandzika on March 21st in Volnovakha resulted in arrest of 4 of 4 witnesses and 1 suspect in this murder. Also, the bus was found in the city where 2 grenades and shells were found. Also, the special operation in the ATO area resulted in a detention of 30 other offenders. In Volnovakha district, some 18 armed people were detained. 8 of them were servicemen and 10 were civilians. In Donetsk Oblast,
Oblast, we actually detained the sabotage and the reconnaissance group who posed like Ukrainian military guys in order to discredit the armed forces of Ukraine. They tried to abduct one of the Ukrainian officers owing to the operational efforts. They were detained immediately after they arrived at the Donetsk Oblast, Mariinsky district in Odessa. SBU arrested 3 rebels. One of them was the participant in the tragic events, and he was preparing new terroristic acts in the city. We actually seized some of the explosives and components for the IDU, 8 guns, 3 rifles with sniper rifles, cartridges, and the entire Ukrainian propaganda materials. Also within the framework of the search for the persons, which will have something to do with the terroristic act in Odessa, they detained 2 active participants in the so-called anti-Maidan. It has been established that one of them maintains contacts with the followers of the gang formations of DPR and LPR, and another actually spread the entire Ukrainian propaganda. The Ukrainian law enforcement officers seized new illegal arsenal in the ITO zone. The Artemitsk city detachment of the militia, together with their Kyiv colleagues, they prevented the attempt to carry away from the ATO zone weapons and the ammunition. The arsenal included 4 machine guns, 16 rounds, 10 rounds with cartridges, 3 grenades F1 with fuses, the special knife in the sheath, and some bunches of powder, etc. Together with the transportation vehicle, they were sent to the militia precinct. And all the seized goods were sent for expertise. In Kurakhov, Mariinsky district Donetsk region, one of the citizens tried to sell the anti-tank grenade launcher RPG-26. And actually the detained person explained that he found this weapon and actually collected this and then tried to use it in order to sell. There are some measures regarding the planned rotation of our military guys who serve in Donbass. The Volyn law enforcement officers actually went to the ITO zone in the east of Ukraine. The major tasks they face is to ensure the protection of the order, civil order, the checkpoint service, and check and verification of transport vehicles. Mobilized soldiers from Chernihiv region went to the east of Ukraine. They have all the necessary means of protection, military ammunition, clothes, warm clothes, medical preparations, and food. Ukrainians help their vendors in ATO zone. The soccer players of the national Ukrainian team visited the wounded veterans of ATO who undergo treatment in the main medical clinical hospital Kyiv. All we are talking about treatment 28 fighters of ATO and the football players communicated with the military guys, and they are near and dear, and they expressed the words of support and gratitude. Many of our servicemen are big fans of our national team and our players. At the same time, the football players could not stay behind, and they just wanted to meet with the real heroes. And military guys and football players wished each other the victory of our country. Also 3 motor vehicles were delivered to Ukrainian special service in paratroopers by our voluntary services. The vehicles were purchased at the cost of the Trade Union Committee of the South Ukrainian NPP and the fund. All those vehicles were sent to the ATO zone. The century instructors actually went the training to provide the first medical aid to the wounded servicemen. The international community activates the assistance given to Ukrainian army. In the international airport Borispol, the President of Ukraine Petro Poroshenko met the aircraft of the Air Force of the United States, which carried 10 American armored vehicles, Humvee. In all, the Shah plans to send to Ukraine 230 Humvee vehicles, among those 30 with the, let's say, the enhanced armor. This is not the first units of the military equipment sent by the United States for Ukrainian army. We already use the modern means of the digital protected communication, let's say radars, and the night vision instruments, etc. Yesterday, the military transportation aircraft of the Armed Forces of Czech Republic brought to the military airport Borispol humanitarian assistance, including the boots, the winter clothes, rucksacks, and the tents. The President of Ukraine Petro Poroshenko had a meeting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Austria, Sebastian Kurz. According to the Austrian diplomat, Austria is prepared to continue the program of providing humanitarian assistance to those who suffered as a result of the warfare and the internal displaced persons from Donetsk and Lugansk regions. And the decision was passed by the government of Austria to increase the financing of those programs for another €500,000. Today we would like to tell you about another hero of Ukraine, Sergeant Maxim Leonov, commander of the detachment as a part of the 95th Detached Air Mobile Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. And in the end of July 2014, during the year taking care of the task, they eliminated 3 fight points of the enemy. Under the shelling, Maxim personally provided or rendered the first medical assistance to servicemen who were at the border of life and death, and it helped to preserve the human life. On 29th of July the same year, 2014, the team of these servicemen, which was part of this striking group, within the very short possible time, took under their control and held the strategically important height, the Savur Mogila. And they were awarded the Order for Courage of third degree. Can you please tell me the fact that we had no wounded or killed persons, does it mean that this kind of regrouping on the part of the terrorists and another specification, there is information that is threat to bring back the heavy weaponry after the 18th? Do you know anything about the threats? How we can comment that? The fact that over the last day we do not have any losses, reversible losses, that means that our fighters already know how to fight and to maneuver, to change their dislocation places, and they know already very well their enemy adversaries. As for the threats from on the part of the rebels, this is a systematic thing. We already got used to those, but those are not some kind of which can reconcile us with what we are having now. Any information coming from the enemy information sources of their leaders is subject to the mandatory verification, and we never leave it without our attention.
About bringing back the heavy artillery, We have not got this information yet. The militants continuously relocate their units, and as I reported today, 2 columns of heavy machinery have arrived, and they continuously exercise in the field conditions. Irina Shevchenko, could you confirm the information that volunteer battalions in NATO area has received their order either to join the regular structure of the Ministry of the Interior or to leave the area? As far as I know, the General Staff representative commented on the situation. There was no such an order since the Ministry of Defense has no command over them, neither do the Ministry of the Interior. They were suggested to join the staff of the National Guards in order to deal with this personnel from these units in case they are wounded or killed. Also, this will give them a possibility to get better arms, to get communication systems which will allow them to receive all information, reconnaissance information from centralized sources from Ukrainian command. Is my understanding correct that there is no such an order to leave the ATO zone? Actually, there is no such order. This was a suggestion from the president of Ukraine as chief commander, and he made this suggestion to the volunteer battalions in order to bring in order command of the all units in the ATO zone. Our next briefing will be in 3 minutes. Thank you for attention.